we're gonna review Sandland, which was suggested by Mike.
So I pitched this one because I knew the movie was coming out soon. Mm-hmm. And then just recently, actually, they announced there's a video game coming out for it as well. So like, there's a lot of hype for this property right now. Mm-hmm. And it's a short 1 volume, 14 chapters. Now, don't worry, just because it's 14 chapters, they're short chapters. It's like 200 something pages. You can easily.
It's a single volume, yeah.
And I think it came out in like the early 2000s. It's by Akira Toriyama, who is famously known for Dragon Ball. He drew all the Dragon Ball stuff and then wrote all the stories, and then also Dragon Quest. And he's just like, you know what? I love his art style. And although his stories maybe are not always the most fantastic thing, I think we're going to have an interesting one here. And I'm glad that I picked it. And basically the gist of what this is all about is there's a world where water has gone away and the whole world is all covered, basically sand. And then this little like demon boy teams up with like this grizzled old army vet and then he also has like one of his demon buddies along for the ride, and they're trying to figure out where the water went. And that's kind of the whole story. And I think from that point we can jump into it. What did you guys think of this?
I started reading this.
So should we predict what everyone's thought of it before we jump into our thoughts?
You're speed running pissing off Cole on this episode. I like it.
Sure. Let's do that.
Yeah, that's a good. Okay.
Jay, why don't you start?
Sure. I think Mike liked it.
Can I interrupt you now?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm kidding. That was. Go ahead.
I think Mike liked it, and I think Cole also liked it, but I don't think he liked it as much as Mike.
Okay. Okay. I think this one was probably enjoyed by the two of you. I think. Same basically goes for Jay. I think Mike probably liked it a bit more than Jay did, but I think it was enjoyed by all.
Yeah, I kind of echo Cole's sentiment. I think this is all of us are going to enjoy this one. I think Cole probably liked like the nostalgic art style of it and like the bigger picture like message of the story, because it does actually have a nice little message to it. And I think Jay probably liked just like the whimsy of it a little bit. It kind of reminded me a bit of Magi, and I know Jay likes Magi, so.
Yeah, it reminded me of that too. And I'm not sure if that's just like the Akira Toriyama, like, you know, he's like the godfather of like modern shonen.
Say what you want about, I know we trash Dragon Ball on this show quite a bit, but like say what you want, it is iconic. Like there's no
sure. I mean,
that.
For sure. There's a reason,
like everything.
Yeah, I mean, like it's one of the reasons anime is so big in the West today. So,
yeah. What I was going to say before I was so rudely interrupted.
And I'll do it again.
I went into this manga with classic heaps of cynicism. I'm like, I'm not gonna like this. I don't like Akira Toriyama. It's going to be super shallow. It's going to be kind of dumb. By the end of it, I put it down and I was like, that was a solid, tight little story. There weren't any loose ends. It was just it wrapped everything up. It was good. It was good.
Honestly, I completely agree with you. I was expecting it to be, because I recently read the Akira Toriyama's Manga Theater, where he just, wow, I haven't said manga in a long time. Manga. And it's basically what you said. What you thought it was going to be, like classic. Just like there's no real point to any of this. It's just kind of like silly little stupid stories. But like this actually had like a greater meaning and a purpose to it, and it is a tight little number too, and I like that. And it made me really hopeful for the movie actually.
See, I could see a good adaptation of a movie of this because it's just a nice little story.
It's well contained, right?
Yeah. There's just a beginning, middle, and an end, and I like that. Jay?
Yeah. So here's where the bearer of bad news comes in.
Oh, no. Oh, that's okay.
No,
it doesn't have to be universally liked.
I didn't hate it, to be fair. But for me, I felt like by the time I was like, okay, this is getting interesting, it was about like chapter 9, chapter 10.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, that's... In a 3-act structure, that's like the build-up, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But like, I just felt like, I don't know, I felt like if maybe this was a one-shot, it might have been more interesting to me. Like, I don't know, I did a little bit of research on this just to look into it. Apparently, this was originally intended to be a one-shot. And his
basically is a one-shot that he just split up into chapters.
Right. Like it was supposed to just be like a one-chapter thing. And his main idea was he wanted to write a story about a guy with a tank.
And I love the tank. I love the tank.
The tank is fantastic. I need a model kit of this tank. If anyone knows where I can find one, it's great.
It's so Akira Toriyama. Like it's just like this ball with guns on it.
Yeah. But yeah,
Capsule Corp. That's all I can think.
And I know that sounds weird when I'm saying like I started getting into it by the end, but like I feel like I don't know. I feel like if it was shortened a little bit, it might have been like a tighter piece for me. But like I don't know.
That's fair. I mean, I think it does have a little bit of fluff that could probably be cut out of there. Like, but I do think it was a pretty. I didn't have any problems with the structure as it is. I think it's nice to have a little bit of fluff sometimes.
I think it's just a solid like morality tale. Like there's a clear good guy, clear bad guy, and people who kind of sway to the appropriate side. And like in terms of messaging, it's not the deepest message in the world. Like greed is bad.
It's been done a million times.
It's been done a million times.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like every time I thought, okay, like, can I just do a little plot thing here?
Yeah.
There's at the end of the first chapter, they get stranded or they lose all their water and stuff. And then I'm thinking, because this is still when Cynical Cole was there, I'm like, why don't they just turn around? Like what? And like the first line in the next chapter is like, oh, we can't turn around. We don't have enough gas to go back. And I'm like, oh.
He thought of that.
He thought of that. And it kept doing that. It kept like, why don't they just, like honestly, like my main praise for this is like, he wrote a really solid like story.
There's kind of no plot holes that I can think of. There's nothing that,
I wouldn't praise its like messaging is like something super deep, but like it's a solid, like if you wanted to show this to like a kid to be like, look, this is the lessons on how greed is bad. Which is what this good
essentially was at the time, right? Because this came out in
2000.
2000, yeah. So like back, that's a long time ago, and this was serializing weekly in Shonen Jump, right? So like kids, the reason this has like a little place in my heart is actually when I used to get the English version of Shonen Jump. Bring back the physical Shonen Jump in North America, by the way. Come on, those things were great. I know it's never going to happen.
I don't think so.
It hurts my heart, but those are great. And I remember reading this one in there, and I only caught like the last 2 chapters of it or something like that. But it's just like, I don't know, it's good. I like it. I don't know where I was going with this.
Oh, you I guess you read it when you were a kid.
Oh yeah. So like little kids in the early 2000s, like that, we're poisoning the world. Corporate greed is killing the earth, kind of thing. I wouldn't say that was like a super common message back then.
Yeah,
it is now that we're all suffering through heat waves and forest fires and stuff.
Yeah, but you're welcome, America.
Yeah,
for our smoke. Yeah. I will allow me to just heap a little bit of criticism on this manga. This manga definitely would not pass the Bechdel test. Is there a woman in this manga?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Like, I don't think that there's a single woman.
There's mention of the army guy's wife at one point, but like...
Okay.
I think that's it. Yeah.
I don't even remember that. Ring a bell. Honestly, there's more non-humans in this than there are humans too. Yeah. And there's 0 women. So yeah, that's a good thing to bring up too. But sometimes I don't know if it needed more to it.
And that's like...
It's a fair criticism, but like, do you really need another side character?
Yeah.
I guess you could just make like one of the generals or something a woman, and it's fine.
To me, right? Like I never thought while I was reading it, like, man, this is like, you know what would make this better? Women. You know what I mean?
No, it's not the point of it. I just it was an observation I made, was like,
for sure, yeah. There's a lot of bros in this.
A lot of bros. We got a sausage party going on in this manga.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we're reviewing something, a little bit of criticism.
No,
come on, Akira Toriyama, you got to put some women in your manga.
Yeah.
Listen to me, some idiot on the internet.
No, you're a very knowledgeable idiot. I do
Still an
think,
idiot, though.
I think it definitely deserves praise for tackling the corporate greed stuff. It also tackled like racism and genocide very quickly too.
Yes.
And it's just interesting to have that in a manga that's essentially for kids and presented in just like a little one shot. I think it deserves bonus points for just being kind of ambitious, but also still being a tight little story.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a reason why people like Akira Toriyama. Right?
Yeah, Jay hasn't said very much. Why don't you say some words, Jay?
I have some criticism in here, Jay.
I have nothing to say about this manga. I'm going to be honest. So full disclosure, while I was reading the manga, like I was thinking to myself, like, man, aside from, I think that this story could probably be better if it was a one shot, and I was enjoying it by the end, but at the beginning, I was just kind of lost. There's nothing really else for me to say. Like, it really feels like Akira Toriyama, and I think that like if that's your thing, then you'll know, like, yeah, I'll probably enjoy this. And at the same time, I really did think like, okay, I totally get why this is getting a game and a movie and all that. Like, there's definitely so much potential there. But I don't think that it ever like did anything to like transcend that for me. And like I think that the main thing, and Mike's touched on this a bit, on like the kind of stuff that I'm into, and like my thing is like I'm really into character pieces, and like the characters.
Yeah, this isn't a character piece.
This isn't a character piece. I think like there's like one character in here that I was like kind of interested in slightly. And it's the army guy, because he has like a little bit of like he's fleshed out a little bit.
Like he's arguably the most fleshed out.
The guy with the hair.
Yeah.
He's probably
the old general.
Yes,
I'm talking about the guy with the hair is probably. Oh, the old general.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm talking about
the guy without hair.
The young general with the like crazy like pompadour thing.
Dippy doo.
Yeah.
No.
Because I found him interesting. I found him interesting because he had like an arc.
Yeah, I think both the two generals kind of had like a little like arc there, and it was kind of like a passing the torch moment, right?
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
But
I think we said it all, though.
I think we've said it all. There's absolutely don't even bother reviewing this, anybody on the internet. We've said everything there is to say about it.
We've literally covered the entire basis of Sandland. There's nothing. There's no more new ground to try. Oh wait, never mind.
There's no more new ground. Nothing. Nothing can possibly be said. Nothing. No, we're done.
Jay, let's hear me out. What about it did you think didn't like? What about the chapter format bothered you so much that was like your main takeaway from reading this? Like, why do you think having it in 14 chapters was so different from having it as like 255 straight pages?
Well, I mean, that would basically be the same thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, I'm saying, like, if it were maybe like a 60-page one shot or something.
Oh, like
I think he's saying the length was just
okay.
This is issue. Let's rate this bad boy.
Yeah. All right, I'll go first since it's mine.
Yes.
My little baby here. I'm just going to give it a solid, just banging right in the middle supporting character, I think. I think it's the most supporting character manga I've ever read. It's good, very good even, but not great.
I'm going to go supporting as well. For the same reason. Like I enjoyed it. There were issues with it. I'm kind of with Jay. Like I wish it was maybe a little less long, but I don't think it was as big of an issue for me. Supporting. I enjoyed it. I found myself pleasantly surprised by it.
All right,
Jay.
let's burst everyone's bubble. I'll give it a henchman.
Ooh, Jay really didn't like it. See, this is the thing. Jay will never he doesn't criticize things on air, but then off air he just rips them apart.
Well, man,
okay, explain your henchman.
Okay,
henchman.
Again, like I said, this is like there's no character to be seen in this manga. Like I'm not gonna go away from this thinking like, man, I really like the characters, and like to me, characters are like probably the most important thing to a story. And I didn't get that here. I thought that, like, in terms of paneling and the flow of it, I thought, like, it's Akira Toriyama. And like I liked how everything was laid out, so I'll give it that. I'll give it the props of like, you know, the message, but at the same time, just like to counteract that, did it do anything amazingly with that message? And to me, I didn't really think like it really like shot for the moon with the message that it was trying to relay.
I hear that. It's a message that's been told a million times.
And at the same time, like I'm just thinking like, okay, One Piece, Naruto, and almost I think Bleach came out in 2001, so almost Bleach were out. And like those are probably better.
Whoa! That's such a whoa!
In the same magazine. So like, and I mean like, you know, I can't really compare it, but like obviously, but like
I know what you're saying.
For those kinds of messages, I think that they were told in those in other things of the same variety.
Yeah.
So like,
No, I mean,
Henchman.
I mean, we'll definitely have a discussion about this after.
The thing that kept it out of antagonist for me was the things I mentioned, and then like the understanding of like why it's getting a movie. Like I can see sparks of potential there, and also like I think that the open world of the Sandland, like that world is really cool, and I think that it lends itself to a video game. So like I'm really interested in the video game now.
Yeah, it takes what Akira Toriyama does best, which is like world building and character design and stuff like that. And kind of just, does a good job of it. But we need to move on.